This is another edition of PENSDOWN, where we sit with journalists. They are no more the reporters on this platform. They are the newsmakers, because we get them to tell us what they go through as they move about gathering, processing, and packaging the news for all of us to consume. The program is PENSDOWN. Today, I have a senior colleague with me. He is a multiple award-winning development journalist and communication professional with experience in radio, TV, and digital media productions. He is currently a news editor at the Multimedia Group, the largest independent commercial radio setup in Ghana. He leads a team at Love FM and Inshira FM to deliver solutions journalism on the Joy News and Adum News platforms. He is also the Ghana Bureau Chief of Africa Climate Reports, a leading online magazine on climate change and environmental reporting. He has in the past worked as the regional bureau editor, Northern Sector, for the Media General Group, a leading private media organization that operates TV3, Onua TV, Onua FM, 3FM, Connect FM, Akoma FM, and 3news.com. His reporting interests are in green economy, agriculture, environment, and science, covering assignments from various parts of the world, including the UN climate change talks in Madrid, Spain, Bonn, Germany, Paris, France, and Lima, Peru, the IMF World Bank spring meetings in Washington, D.C., USA, and Atom Expo International Nuclear Energy Forum in Moscow, Russia, among others within the African Union. He is a fellow of Africa Means Business of the Thomson Reuters Foundation and a mentor under the John Templeton Foundation's Biosciences for Farming in Africa, B4F4 Fellowship. He has been honored in the past for his exceptional journalism by the Ghana Journalists Association in Ashanti region in 2019. He is the 2015 winner of the Apple Energy Media Awards in Dubai, UAE. He was adjudged overall winner in the 2015 IFEJ Flamingo Business and Financial Journalism Awards in Accra, Ghana, and a finalist in 2016. In 2014, he emerged winner of the African Climate Change and Environment Reporting ASA Awards in Nairobi, Kenya, and a runner-up in 2013. In 2010, he was selected among the 2010 Dream Team of 18 African journalists to go to the Football World Cup in South Africa to report on sports and society. He has had contracts with the UN Economic Commission for Africa, UN Environment, NEPAD, Agency of African Union Commission, Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance, among others on communication project. He is a global goodwill ambassador committed to promoting the welfare of the vulnerable, the aged, children, and persons with disability through social entrepreneurship. He is a change maker, climate reality leader, climate justice advocate, and the convener of CLAP GH, that is Climate, Livelihood, and Agriculture Platform Ghana. His mantra is live to love. My guests today is Kofi Domfeh. How long have you been in journalism?
Since 2004, when I returned from Nigeria as a student of journalism. I was in Nigeria for about 5 years.
Okay.
I practiced as an intern, but I returned to Ghana for the past 17 years. Yeah.
Wow. Why journalism in the first place? There are a lot of professions. You could have become an accountant or some doctor or judge or lawyer or something. Why journalism?
Passion for change. I mean, we live in a society where a lot of things do go wrong. Sometimes you don't have any other power to effect change or to bring
Yeah.
an impact. And I felt journalism gives you the tool, the voice, less. So for me, it's passion and the desire for change in my society, in my community.
Mm. So these years that you've been in journalism, almost 20 years, there has been attrition. I'm sure a number of your contemporaries have found themselves in other professions and sectors, even within the communication space. What has kept you going all these years?
I think is the impact of your reportage. And for me, what drives me is the impact that you make with your reportage. And what I always say is that it's not about trying to use your journalism to change the whole society. But I always say that I want my journalism to change one person at a time. So for instance, if I write about climate change or environment, and through my reportage, somebody like a farmer begins to appreciate the impacts of climate change, why the rains are not coming as expected, and the implications for his agricultural production. And therefore, he begins to look for solutions to be able to adapt or cope with the changing environment. Then I have achieved something with my reportage. So what keeps me going is that somebody consumes my content or my reportage, my journalism. There is some form of impartation. It's like preaching the gospel. You can throw the seeds to the field, and some will germinate and blossom to become a source of livelihood for others. So for me, it's about the impact of my journalism and how it affects people who consume the type of things I write and report on.
You are a multiple award-winning journalist, locally and internationally. There are people in various professions, including journalism. They win one award and the plaudits will sink them. They lose their focus, they lose their sense of direction, everything. What kind of mindset do you carry in this profession, such that even in the face of all these plaudits, you seem to be on fire like that? What is really urging you on?
I must say, and I have to be emphatic on this, for journalists, it's all awards. Of course, it's fun. It's puts you on the that pedestal that at least you are doing something that is recognized. But I was not taught to see awards as the end. Rather, I was taught that just focus on doing the right things, and these ones will come as collateral damage. I must say that most of the awards I've won, especially the international ones, I did not focus on. There are some of them that I just put in the entries when I see them online. I just, okay, I have this story that I did. Let me put it in and see. And surprisingly, they get to win. And for me, I have never said intent that this should win me something, but rather, as I said, the focus in how is this reportage or this piece of journalism going to help shape society? How is it going to affect people positively? How is it going to prick the conscience of people in policy? How is it really going to enlighten, educate people for them to be better off wherever they may be? And for me, that is it. These awards come with some form of joy, but I must say that they are short-lived. As I'm speaking to you now, it's not everybody that you will know that you won awards, but your works will always stand for you. People that have listened to you or read your stories will always say that, oh, this guy, I once it changed my horizon about certain things, or it changed my life.
Right. What has been the most difficult assignment you've had to cover? Most challenging?
Wow, that's a serious one. Quite interesting. I think once in a while you step on toes and all that. But I think one of the stories that I think I came close to, I got scared. It wasn't in Ghana actually. Part of the 2010 World Cup. The group of 18 journalists were selected actually to report on sports and society, not necessarily the World Cup. And we're supposed to go from one community to the other, looking at the lives of people and try to link it to the World Cup coming to Africa for the first time. So we happened to be pursuing a story in one of the states in South Africa, Free State, where they have some illegal miners operating. They call them the Zamazama. Ghana, we say Galamsey.
Yeah.
And we went to more like an empty space, like an abandoned mining site, where these Zamazama often go to prospect for gold. I mean, the person that was leading us did not even hint us that this is a no-go area and therefore we should be cautious and all that. So in the middle of engaging, trying to film and engage the Zamazama, we had the police. We heard the police siren trying to swoop in on us, and we could hear from their loudspeakers telling us to just stop wherever we are, and we're close to our vehicle. And in fact, when they got close, I was scared I just was like, what is going to happen in this place of nowhere? If something should happen to us, nobody will ever know that something has happened to us in that wilderness, more or less. They came, told us to put our hands on the vehicle, for search and all that. Funny enough, and this is so I record this thing. It was a World Cup. And I must say that it was Ghana that saved the other groups, where I was a Ghanaian, the only Ghanaian in the group. We had a Nigerian, an Ivorian, I think one, yes, there was a guy from Dutch, a Netherlands journalist who was also with us, plus our driver. And I was the only Ghanaian. So when they asked where we were from, and I said, okay, this one said I'm from Nigeria, Ivory Coast, then I said I'm from Ghana. All of a sudden, the demeanor of the security officers, there were 3 of them, the demeanor changed just at the mention of the mere fact that I was a Ghanaian. And then they started being friendly. Do you know my KSN? In fact, I'm not a soccer fan. But they were so excited about the fact that they've seen a Ghanaian, and I think my ACN and the Montari, they started mentioning those guys' names. And of course, I was nodding my head. Yes, I know them. They are from my country. And that was our savior. But the scare of that moment, so they want us to be careful and leave the site as early as possible because it's a security zone, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was close and in fact scary, and that is an experience that I always recall and say, well, it's one of those things with a profession. You never can tell what you meet along the way.
Let's look at the other side of the coin. What has been your most exciting assignment? You just loved it. By the time you were done, you yourself, you felt a sense of satisfaction that, I have done a good job. Or I love the way this went.
Yeah, it's one of the stories that won me the APO Energy Media Awards in UAE, Dubai. It's a story that I took time to do, not for the awards, but because at the time, the issue, and even up till now, recently the issue came up and I was like, this is a story I did some 7 years ago. It was on climate change and energy. So this is the story. Ahead of the Paris Agreement on climate change, there had been talks in Peru leading up to the Paris Agreement. And anytime I attend most of these sessions, there were a lot of talk about the fact that we need to keep the oil in the ground.
Okay.
That has been the talk globally. That the global carbon dioxide situation, the CO2 emissions, if exploration of oil should be minimized, that means that we will not have much to do with contending with the issue of climate change. It was around the same time that Ghana was at the we've already discovered oil, and we were relying on oil as one of our major sources of revenue. So this is the dilemma. Do we, of course, we are the receiving end of the climate change in terms of vulnerabilities, Africa and Ghana being one of them. And at the global stage in the climate negotiations, Ghana joins other African countries to talk about the fact that the global West should do much in terms of cutting down on carbon emissions. And this is a sector, the oil sector, that is one of the areas that is going to feed us economically. Meanwhile, we are also part of the global economy. In other words, we also have to do well to keep low our carbon emissions. So this was a story. Do we keep, as Ghanaians and other African countries, do we keep our new oil discoveries? Do we abandon them? Or forget about the climate talks and pursue the interest of our energy finds? So I look at the story and say and spoke about the future of Africa without oil and all that, and it was more like a future. And that was a story I did with a lot of joy, and because I knew the impacts they were going to make. It's beautiful, and I must say it's one of my most cherished pieces in terms of my journalism.
You've done almost 20 years. How many more years do you want to go before hanging your boots, or in this case, dropping your pen?
Steve.
Yes, sir.
Even though journalism is passion, it's just unfortunate. Sometimes it's heartbreaking when we cannot see the profession as something that we can do to retire.
Yeah,
it always hurts. I should be able to say that I'm retiring as a journalist, just as anybody working in the banking sector or the oil and gas sector or the mining sector would want to retire as a professional. So what I always say is that I want to stay on as a journalist so long as the passion remains, and most importantly, so long as my family will appreciate the fact that if I don't make money, it's because of the profession I took up on
myself. I hope because your wife doesn't hear this one.
That is it. So sometimes certain opportunities come your way, and they are very enticing. Actually, very enticing. You are like, would I be happy there? And that is, for me, that is life anyway. What will make you happy? Even though money is good, sometimes you may get the money and may not be happy. So I want to stay in as long as I'll be happy and the family will be happy, because now it's no longer you. As a young guy, you are okay with how much any amount you get. But when the family, demands gets bigger, then you find yourself in that environment that you need to make critical decisions. But for now, we are in it. We see how God will make things pan out.
There is a debate going on this program, PENSDOWN. I want to put it directly to you. Should journalists be licensed?
I believe journalists should be licensed. I strongly believe so, because of how journalism has been bastardized across the spectrum. Today, even in the spread of fake news, people point fingers at journalism, even when people could easily pick their phones or their computers or laptops and write anything in the name of media or journalism.
Mm.
If people cannot practice as doctors,
Mm.
as lawyers,
Mm.
as engineers,
Mm.
as architects, I
Mm.
believe is the same way, because the power we hold, we can also kill without licensing.
Mm.
Yes, if somebody should consume fake news
Mm.
through no fault of theirs, believing that they trust the media to provide them with qualitative information for
Mm.
them to make informed decisions.
Mm.
And because of the trust they have in the media, they consume certain content from people who are quacks. And there is no regulatory framework to put these people in check. Then I believe that there is that urgent need for licensing of the profession.
Mm. If you have the opportunity to roll back the hands of time 20 years, would you still choose journalism?
Wow, you hit me there. I can easily say yes, but sometimes you wish you could have taken another turn in terms
Mm.
of a professional, because sometimes, especially when you put in your all in all. Remember, I
Mm.
talk about passion. You
That's right.
passionately do something, and you don't see the necessary change you want to see in society, in
Mm.
policy directions. You engage people in with political power, people, policymakers, decision makers. With your journalism, you are expecting that they will take the things you feed, you pick from the public and feed them with, for them to make the requisite changes that will really impact lives. But they are reluctant to heed. That is where you get frustrated. For me, it hurts when genuinely you can, across the spectrum, look at the number of investigative reporting that have gone on in the country. Journalists breaking their backs just to feed the public. Sometimes they are
Mm.
tagged.
Mm.
Sometimes they are attacked.
Mm.
Sometimes we are maligned. It's serious. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the status quo remains, and that
Mm.
breaks hearts. And you're like, have we wasted our time trying to make society better? And for me, that is the only time that I wish I had taken something other than journalism. But it's still a good place to be, I must
What's your
say.
take? What's your take on Solly? I have had very interesting submissions on it. I don't want to prejudice your own position. So tell me, what's your take on it?
Okay, so there are always two areas when it comes to
Mm.
solidarity
Yeah.
and Sole. There are two coins, and I always say there are two coins for a reason. It's not every media practitioner
Mm.
or every media organization that regards the professional journalists as they should give them that due recognition.
Okay.
So we find a lot of media houses employing people. It's not that those they employ are not good, but you see, finances can push you to the wall.
Mm.
So if you employ a journalist who you are not taking good care of, and that person is given a target to bring stories every day, they wake up from their houses, either to the office or around roaming to get stories, and you are not paying them with the requisite remuneration.
Yeah.
And somebody says, I am doing ABC. I
Mm.
need publicity.
Mm.
And he or she calls this guy roaming around looking for stories,
Mm.
says, come cover my program and put it on your network.
Mm.
There is a thin line between journalism and PR. And this is where you find that challenge.
Mm.
So the person calling the media professional to come cover his or her assignment is interested in something, getting
Okay.
his or her information out to the public, and that should be expensive.
Mm.
Ideally, they know that they could have gone to the media house to pay
Mm.
to engage, but they call the journalist and say, okay, for the effort of coming around to help us put this thing across, take ABC for your transport.
Mm.
Sometimes, because, like I said, I've given antecedents.
Yeah.
A person is not paid and the economic challenges.
Mm.
You look at it from the human perspective and say, I think definitely this guy should take something. But the clause is, the money you are taking as a TNT, at no point in time should it influence your editorial judgment in using the story.
Mm.
If, as a professional, you are able to withstand that, then I can say that I'm fine with it. But when you take the money as TNT and you get to the studio or to your newsroom and say, because they gave me this, I'm dropping this important story, or they did not give me this, I'm dropping this important story that will help my audience or my readers make an informed decision, then I have a problem. The second aspect is that in my media organization, and luckily from the media organization I work for, TNT is supposed to be paid by the organization.
Okay.
So that is why we call the zero solidarization, or the zero solid in my organization. In other words, you go for the assignment, you are reimbursed, or you take your transport and go there. In that instance, you don't get influenced unnecessarily by any organization. And I think that is where media organizations must take seriously. If you don't pay your professionals well, you put them in the temptation of following the Sole, which indirectly, and sometimes it's natural, influences the desire to take the Sole, which of course affects the quality of reportage. So let's pay our reporters well, let's pay our journalists well, let's value them, invest in training so that you have the qualities of journalists and they report qualitatively and not look at how much they are influenced with the money for them to report on their stories.
Have you, from your profile, I see you've done electronic and then digital. Have you had an opportunity with the print media house, newspaper or magazine?
Apart from my online magazine, I've not. When I was in Nigeria, actually, I worked as a student journalist with a local one of the afternoon newspapers in Nigeria. But it wasn't, you support. So I didn't. I think I had only one byline sometime, but I've not had real strict sense of print journalism apart from online magazine writing.
Is there any public figure that within these 17 years you would have loved to sit with an interview that you haven't had the opportunity? First of all, let's look at in Ghana, and then we step out.
In Ghana, I think that there was a time I had wanted to engage our former president, John Kofi, when he was made the UN envoy on climate change. That at that time I desired to really engage him and ask questions. And of course, he's a personality that is always interesting to be speaking with. He's one person that, even up to date, if I get opportunity, I'll be so excited. I've met him though, but not the front of interviewing. But so I will always want.
Beyond Ghana, Africa, or any part of the world?
There's so many of them.
Maybe you can mention about 5, your top 5.
Okay. Barack Obama.
Okay.
Number 1. The person that I wanted to, of course, Mandela is gone.
Yeah.
Yes, I was also interested in speaking to, what's his name again? The name just escaped me. He's one of the UN, the former UN, Ban Ki-moon, yes.
Ban Ki-moon, okay.
Ban Ki-moon, yes.
Okay, former
Ban
UN
Ki-moon is
Secretary
former
General.
UN Secretary General, yes. Ban Ki-moon is also another personality that I needed to speak to. I also I love entertainment, and people like Denzel Washington, for instance,
Okay.
is somebody that's very much. I mean, I'm attracted to his products. And lastly, gender balance. Merkel,
Angela Merkel, the
Angela, yeah,
former Chancellor of Germany.
Chancellor of Germany. Yes, yeah, those are my top. I mean, I have people that are not well known, that are very deep, but of course, these are people that you can easily relate. I'm the type that I love to engage people who are strong with thoughts, but are not necessarily top in the public limelight. And I enjoy speaking to them because you have fresh perspectives without the biases of politics and global diplomacy attached. Those people give you that insight into issues that get you more informed, and I think those are beautiful people to speak to.
Were you married when you got into journalism?
Not at all.
Okay. Now I want to ask a question for comparative analysis sake.
Okay.
How was journalism before you married, and how is it after you are married?
It's simple. As a young journalist, you have all the time.
Right.
The energy is there. You are young, energetic. You can move into anywhere without. Yes, the zeal is there. And you want to make an impact with your life. It's a profession. You want to make a name for yourself, impact. Then, of course, you're getting old, you get married, the children are coming, there's responsibility, your wife is in labor, you have to be at the hospital, your children are sick, they need to be in school, you are looking for money to pay school fees, limited concentration here and there. That is the middle side of it.
Yeah.
Then, of course, it's come back because they begin to appreciate the job you do, and there's that understanding because from the onset, a young couple, she wants you to be closer.
That's right.
As time goes on, you explain the profession to her. She begins to appreciate the job. So if you are late, you are not with your girlfriend, but rather you are at work.
Right.
You let
That's
them,
right.
you be open to them as possible.
Yeah.
And they begin to appreciate that it's not daddy's fault not to be at home. But of course, it's the nature of the job. So as useful as you are, the adrenaline is boiling and you want to do a lot of things at the same time. You get old, get married, and the dynamics do change. But of course, you have to get back on track and do the right things. I think I wouldn't put it on myself. I think I would rather put it on opportunities I've given the people, putting my own position on the line. As editorial head, there are people that for certain reasons, somebody don't want them to be doing one or two stuff. Then you put your head on the chopper that I believe this person can do it, should be given the opportunity. And they tell you, if the person fails, your job is on the line. And I think for me, those are some of the sacrifices I have had to make, putting my own positions on the line to make other people also progress in their professional and lives.
Yeah. Have you ever been offered money or anything of value to compromise the facts of any story you were doing?
A couple of times. I wouldn't say the money. I mean, they were not that. Not the most enticing that will let you. I want to change, but I mean, they do come. Some not directly. They come indirectly, trying to induce. Let's go for lunch. Give you transport, and at the back of their minds, they are looking for something. And of late, they don't come. They come in diverse ways, and I think journalists need to be on the lookout.
Okay.
How our stories are being censored and subconsciously, we don't even identify them, but they are there. One of the things they are doing now is to use travels.
Okay.
Especially around the political environment.
Yeah.
We are going on this trip to the US. We want you guys, a strong media person. We need you to join our trip. And that's the beginning of compromises. There are times they call, okay, we are calling a few strong guys to have an engagement with, and before you know, they give some fat envelopes and all that. One thing I pride myself with is that maybe because of where I found myself, I was mostly doing business journalism, climate change reporting, and others. I wasn't too close to the political elite, so I was somehow not under that much of an influence. But I know, as a newsroom person, that a lot of the influences do come from this area. But one of the areas that currently is also very and they even move beyond the journalists is the business censorships. And for me, that's a scare currently for me. Because as a business and financial journalist, I was very much interested in issues of transfer pricing and all that. That's where people make big multinationals who make money and then they find ways and means to ship them abroad and all that. Currently, I don't know how we can really be bold to say that we are taking on multinational because we operate commercial radio stations and television stations. We are always looking for money. And seriously speaking, we get to make a lot of compromises just to satisfy the business moving on. And it's something that I think we need to be very careful about as businesses so that we don't compromise on protecting the public. I mean, as a country, our press against these multinationals who would want to use opportunities available to take our money, what is due us to their home countries. And you see, what has also helped is the fact that because of the plurality of media houses, if you take the bribe and you miss the big story,
that's right.
Another media house will get it. The funny aspect of it is that you will be exposed one day before you even know. Somebody will say, I gave the hint to this guy on this story. Before I knew, he had gone for something. Your name can be tarnished and your career killed in a way that you will never believe. So, I mean, you have to be extra cautious. Like I said, money is good. But money that is not clean can never be healthy for your own upkeep. And if you just take something in form of bribery, no matter how big, fat it is, and you allow somebody to pollute water bodies, destroy the environment, it's like karma. It will come back at you. And if you don't have that conscience, I mean, you are as better as dead.
Kofi Domfeh has been my guest. PENSDOWN is the show. And here, the reporters that are always holding the microphone, making noise in front of TV cameras and sitting on radio, writing and doing all, they are actually the newsmakers. We turn the tables here, and then we get them to tell us all that they go through. It is called PENSDOWN, Journalism Journeys. That's what we talk here. And today I've had my senior colleague join me all the way from his base in the Ashanti region, Kofi Domfeh. Senior, I'm grateful. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, Steve. And make sure tell the audience to plant a tree. Climate change is real. Let's all, on your birthdays, wedding anniversaries, plant a tree, at least in your community, in your home. Trees are beautiful. It's life as well. Thank you for hosting me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot. This has been PENSDOWN. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back another time with another journalist talking about their journalism. Stay tuned.